'tis the season to dogpile on Kevin Durant, right? So Kevin Durant asked to be traded, met with Joe Tsai, restated that he wanted to be traded, and did the reverse Jimmy Chitwood, right? Either Steve Nash goes or I go. It was GM and head coach or I go. And Joe Tsai went on social media and said, not changing them. And then we now know, based upon the Nets' tweets, Tsai's tweets, and Kevin Durant's tweets, he's not going anywhere right now. Charles Barkley had this to say on a radio show in Phoenix.
He just seems like a miserable person, man. I call him Mr. Miserable. He's never going to be happy. I mean, everybody's giving him everything on a silver platter. He was a man in Oklahoma City. They loved him. He owned the entire state. And then he bolts on them and goes to the Warriors. He wins back-to-back championships, and he's still not happy. He goes to Brooklyn. They give him everything he wants, and he's still miserable.
I think there's a level to. I don't think Kevin Durant is miserable. I think he can be miserable at work, and I think what happens when you make decisions is you have what you want to call buyer's remorse at times. And what happens when you have buyer's remorse is you look back at your past place, and when you're leaving, you only saw the negatives. When you're missing, you only see the positives. This happens in relationships as well, where it's like you think back to a relationship and you're like, oh, yeah, that was great. But then you forget, like, yeah, actually, there's a bunch of parts of that relationship sucked. And you kind of need a friend to sit there and go like, dude. I think women do this a lot more than guys. Guys don't like share relationship ups and downs as women. Whereas, guys are like, it's the same thing with places to work. I remember, and Jason, you've worked a lot at Fox and Fox Sports Radio, so it's kind of in the same family, sort of. But I guarantee you've noticed it. Like when I left ESPN, I never left. I was never frustrated. I just wasn't. Did I want more? Yeah, I'm a more guy. That's who I am. But did I want more and bigger stuff? Of course. But I left to go to CBS because it was a completely different opportunity. I thought at the time it would be better for my family. I had little kids at the time. And I again, like I did the pros and cons thing for both. And I thought it's an opportunity that I don't know if it comes along again. I'm going to take a chance at it. And from the second I took that chance, I had that buyer's remorse. So I was like, man, I had this going for me, that going for me. I was this, and I was happy in the house and whatever. And I needed friends to sit you down and go like, dude, do you remember why you left? You actually left because it was 4 to 7 in the afternoon. You'd never see your kids, and then you're gone every Saturday for 5 months. And then, you worked holidays, you worked weekends, you worked afternoons. Like, it wasn't necessary. Everybody else was happy, but were you really happy? And you weren't getting the opportunities you wanted. And if you looked at how that place progressed at the time in which that next deal would have come up, I don't know if I would have been there. Then you go to your next spot, and it's kind of the same thing. And then you start kind of chasing it. Now you start chasing what you had a long time ago. When what you had a long time ago wasn't as good as how you perceive it. This is my honest thought with Kevin Durant is he loved the build in Oklahoma City. He loved building it. He loved building it. And he built it, and he was a leader, and they all got behind him. But then he just got frustrated with, like, we're just never going to, I can't win here. We don't have enough space. Then he got the space. Then he did everything he set out to do in Golden State. And I don't think he became frustrated with Draymond or with Steve Kerr as much as he was frustrated with the Charles Barkleys of the world or the other players that all they said was, this is a weak move and he joined a great team. Like, look, dude, you told me I had to show that I was better than LeBron. I had to do it in the finals, and I did. I was the best player, and I guarded to him. What do I got to do? And then people will say, well, you got to go do it on your own. So you leave, you go try to do it on your own. Kyrie's difficult. You're coming off of a debilitating injury. You don't play your first year. Then there's the pandemic. Hey, then you make a trade for James Harden, only he's not the James Harden of yesteryear. And Kyrie's much more difficult to work with than he is to hang with or to play with when you're in the Olympics. You got an inexperienced coach. You got an inexperienced general manager. It doesn't work. And so you start thinking back like, Golden State wasn't that bad. Oklahoma City wasn't that bad. Because when you don't enjoy where you currently are, or sometimes you just long for things and you only see the positives, when the reality is he didn't fit in Golden State. The reality is that the times weren't great in Oklahoma City. That the build wasn't one which was built for 2020, 2022, whatever. But the amazing thing about it is so many of the things Kevin Durant has run into in terms of issues is chasing something that everybody said he should chase. Oh, you didn't like that I chose Golden State? Fine. I'll go build one on my own in Brooklyn. Take Kyrie, we'll go build one. And do I think he's unhappy? I do. I also think that a little bit of this, and I will also admit I've been there as well. When you live in the world of social media too much, it brings you down. It doesn't make you feel good. When you're on your phone too much, it doesn't make you feel good. Just no matter how thick your skin is, I have really thick skin. Enough people tell you how bad a human being you are or how awful you are at your sport or your profession, whatever. Like, dude, you got to stay out of your man. It just beats you up. I think KD has been in his phone too much, in social media too much. I think that some of it is a longing for something that wasn't really that great to begin with. And I think he followed the path that he thought he should take. And like, end of the day, when you're a grown man, like, this is the thing. Like, I've done this with jobs, right? Where you take something and, my dad passed away 7 years ago, but even my dad, when he's alive and he'd give advice, like, he didn't really, truly understand the profession. You know it, and you know you better than anything else. But then when you do something that you're like, man, that was a mistake, there's nobody really to blame. So, do I think KD is a miserable guy? I don't. Do I think he's entitled? Yes. I do think the Nets gave him everything, and I think he ran roughshod over that organization. But I also think that some of what he's done has been following the lead of other players or of a narrative, and then when he succeeds or when he does it, you're like, now you're not happy. It's actually, here's the thing to Charles Barkley. Barkley's a very happy dude. I've never seen him, and I've hung out with Charles 50 times. I've texted with him. I've never seen him in a bad place. I'm sure that exists. But I think a lot of people that comment on things, they're not particularly happy in their lot in life. They're just not. Those people are miserable, and they're trying to create a miserable atmosphere for Kevin Durant, who just wants to go to work and play hoop. Remember, Kevin Durant did not leverage retirement. He could have, and he was like, I'm not going to retire. That's not me. They said they're not trading me. All right, I'm staying.